Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. My name is Gomez. I'm your host with your most named Gomez because I messed that up because a ding went in my phone. So, oh, well, that's what happens when you do unedited work here. But tonight, I gotta say, I have an old, when I mean old friend, we're talking Rutherford, New Jersey rec soccer days going back to like fifth grade. So it's like 1990 some, 89, 90. So we're talking way back. He's got a good story to talk about, and this is why we're bringing him in, because there's a lot to talk about where people don't realize what's going on. My good friend and very old friend that we went to high school together, we done a lot together, my good friend Kevin McCloskey. What's going on, Kevin?
What's going on, man? This is
Well,
I appreciate you having me on, man.
uh,
This is cool, man. I'm hoping we can hopefully the story resonates with people and um not only will it help me also talking about it, but hopefully, we're able to help some other people as well.
I hope so we can, because that's what I love to do. I've been raising awareness this past year too. Actually, we did a show with an old friend of mine from high school too. Her son had autism. We
I
were
know who you're talking about. Yep.
and you know Angela very well.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
Angela has her son had autism. She reached out to me, which was a great thing. So I loved having her on the show.
Yeah.
Jeanette Mackesy, type 1
Yeah.
diabetes. Brandon Swillinger, it was a guy who I went to high school. I coached him in football. His two kids are cerebral palsy. Now we got you, man. And we briefly talked about things. And, you know, I was going through the Instagram pictures like a couple weeks ago when you connected with me and said I want to come on the show and all that stuff. And I noticed a few pictures that you looked awesome and you look great. And then there's a few pictures that you look like you just, I hate to say the word, hit rock bottom.
Big time. Yeah. And like I thought honestly, like I had hit rock bottom before that, like
Mm-hmm.
years prior. And then I kind of got some of my shit together. But I was never really on that straight path. Like I kind of would fall off, or like I'd be good for a little while, have a little kink, whatever it was, drugs, alcohol, whatever it was.
Right,
Like
right.
party for a little bit, and then and then I'm back on a straight a little bit. But I was never, and mentally I was never really well, I could honestly say. Like I struggled a lot. I mean, like I can
Right.
honestly say the last time up until these last couple of years, like if I'm really being brutally honest, like I don't remember really being proud of myself other than like maybe like freshman year of high school. Like
Wow.
where I really like I don't know, like my whole thing, my confidence has always been a struggle since I
Mm-hmm.
was younger. But like, I was a clown. I put on a happy face. I joked around.
We all did.
Yeah, of course. And not saying that all that time was treacherous and torture. I had good times too.
Oh yeah, we all did. But I mean, we
But
we we
like
also
my mindset for years and years and years was not the healthiest. Like, I would never have thought that I was a negative person. But when I finally like when all this really started to culminate and I finally took a step back and I was like, wow, like, yeah, I was pretty negative. I complained a lot. I just, I think I focused more on like the fact that I had Crohn's disease. And then when it was my back, I focused on the back. And then,
mhm.
and then I used drugs and alcohol as an excuse, you
And
know, I never wanted to be in my head. So for a lot of those years after, I'm not saying freshman year of high school, but I mean, I started really doing like drugs probably
mm,
around like 18, 17, 18. And then 19, I overdosed and I was in rehab.
what
So
was, if you don't mind me asking, what was your choice at that point when we were in
I
high
didn't
school?
really have a choice. And that's why, like, I mean, I did, but I didn't. So,
Okay.
like, and that's where, like, this comes up. I had, like, a very, very, very close family friend who was a pastor, and I was never really a religious person or, more spiritual, but, and I was in the newspaper as a kid. I think I was in like fifth or sixth grade for somebody interviewed me about Crohn's disease and all that stuff. It wasn't really very big back then.
It was
And this
actually, I think it was the South Bergenite that did that interview, didn't
Yes,
it?
it was.
I
It was.
remember that.
There's a picture of me coming off a skate ramp.
Yes. I
Yes,
remember that.
of
Yes.
course. Yep, yep. A lot of people do now, like once you joggle them, once you kind of bring it up. But so this guy had found me through the article, and initially you're like, who's this guy? Who's this guy going about? But it turned out like he was a godsend, man. I miss him to this day. Like he passed away early, but like he saw something in me and he read me like a book. Like he initially said to my mom, like when I had first started like screwing around, and he had said, like my mom, because my dad's younger brother died of a drug overdose.
Oh shit. Okay.
So like that's the first thing my parents goes into their head, like, oh
Yeah.
shit, son's going down that path.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
know we've skipped a few things. I'm sure we'll get back to it, but like, so he had, I had gotten in trouble in school for getting caught with something my senior year when I was back at St. Peter's. And I had gotten in some trouble, and he was the first person I called. And I remember after that, like he had mentioned to my mom saying, like, my mom was so focused on the drug aspect, the drug aspect, the drug aspect, which you can't blame her. I mean,
Yeah. No, that's something
you
that.
don't know what else to really do, right? And he had said, like, listen, to my mother, he's like, I think Kevin's addiction really is emotional. Where in other words, like he just doesn't feel some reason like he'll be good and then he's not good. And then like I just never, I don't know, it was almost like at times like embarrassed of myself. It's like
Mhm.
it's a weird like in between. Like I was never like confident, like I could never like, I mean, if I had alcohol in my system or a drug, yeah, then you get the liquid courage, you get the other stuff. But like I never like was confident to like just go up to a random girl and just start talking. And I'm not saying I'm like a good looking guy, but I don't think I'm like a treacherous looking guy. So like,
Nah.
so like, but like stuff like that. I wasn't, I never trusted my decisions. Like I was
Mhm.
like, being a sick kid growing up, right? You're coddled a little bit. My mom
Yeah.
did it for me. I was in the hospital. My mom took care of this. My mom took care of me this. My mom and my parents, amazing parents. My mom and dad have been by my side this whole time through thick and thin. They have been at every single one of my races, my ultras, not
Okay.
not the half marathons, but the ultras. So
The ultras.
marathons are anything over 31 miles.
Okay. Yep. I know which one you're
So
talking about.
so they've been they crewed my first ultra marathon. They crewed my first 100 miler. They crewed my first they crewed my first 50 miler. They crewed my 55. Like I've done four ultras.
Christ.
They've been at every single one of them. And like
That's awesome.
I have a new race that's coming up in November, which is going to be fun. It's a 64-mile race in the Catskill Mountains, and the race starts at 4 p.m. So it's going to be all night, basically.
Wow. So it's an all night race then for you. So you
So it's
could.
a 64-mile race with 10,000 feet of climbing. So it's not flat. It's not right. It's not flat. It's not anything like that. But like, I know I have a habit of like jumping around a little bit. But yeah, like they are so supportive. But to go back, like my mother, she had to handle a lot. She handled a lot for me. She dealt with the insurance company. She dealt with the doctor. She dealt with this. She dealt with this.
Mhm.
And it kind of and it was, I mean, I couldn't ask for better parents, but like also I wish a little, not I can't say I wish because I don't think anything in my past should change.
Right.
I would
Right.
change anything. But I as I got older, I got less and less independent. So and less trusting my own decisions. So like I even up until even in my 20s, like I would steal a lot of things like, what do you think of this, mom? What do you think? Like I I I didn't trust my own decisions. I was very insecure.
Mhm.
Like it goes back to the confidence thing. Um, but you know, I'm not that person anymore though.
No, you could
Know what I
see
mean?
you're.
So like it's and they've been there through the bad, through the good, through the in between. Back when I was, and I hurt them a lot. I mean,
It's that's
I
happened to
stole,
a lot of people,
I
man.
stole from them. My dad for years, like he has a lot of like physical ailments and stuff. So there were always like pills, and he had a safe. They actually had to buy a safe
Oh,
because Like I would actually, and it wasn't like, it was weird. It wasn't always like I would just go, like I would go on like little binges and then I'd stop. It was like
Mhm.
almost kind of knew like when to stop before it got to the point where I would get
Yeah.
like, but I was not good at any point. I'd get a bottle of, say I'd get a tooth pulled, right? You get a bottle of Vicodin, right? What is it, 40 pills?
I
That
think so.
lasts me like a day and a half, 2 days.
I remember
You
when
know
I
what I
lost my
mean?
dad. Yeah, no, without a doubt.
So
I remember when I lost my dad. The hardest part of my when my dad died, when I turned 21. Just that's, your partying phase, your
and then it all comes up, man.
and I'll tell you, I think my mom my mom was the strongest one. I'm gonna say that. My mom was very strong at that point with the family and saying, we got this, don't worry. And I'm sitting in the house, I'm like, how the hell don't you worry? We just lost my dad, and one thing I remember, I never turned to the drugs. Maybe smoke weed here once in a blue moon, but I never turned to anything hardcore like with Vicodin or
Oh no,
Percocets.
yeah,
I,
I mean, I took massive amounts of a lot of different things at
I
different
can
times.
only,
And I hit it, I guess I hit it kind of well. I don't know if I did. I mean, my close friends knew, I know they worried about me because I was reckless, man. Like I didn't care. I used to say like, oh, I'm not gonna live till I'm 24. Then it was, I'm not gonna live till I'm 30. Then it was like, I don't give a fuck if I die, what happens to me. And I remember 3.5 years ago,
mhm,
not going to bed and literally praying not to wake up. Like I don't want to wake up. I don't want to do this. Like I just thought that, and this is where it goes back to the poor mindset, like a poopy pants. Like I started to like get like poor me, poor me, poor me. And yes,
right,
trust me. And I'm not saying that what I went through was easy. And I'm not saying that when people have problems and stuff, it's not, but like I got into that habit and I became a victim. And then when you become a victim like that, other things happen. Like you start making excuses. And I got to that habit for a long time. I'm making excuses for
hmm,
everything. Don't
same
take
here.
don't take responsibility for things. That was
Mm,
another thing too. I didn't take responsibility for things. I wasn't a good husband. I'm divorced. I was divorced like I think a little over 3 years. And I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't present. Like I don't get me wrong, when it first started, things were good. But I was so in my own head and in my own shit that,
mm,
and not like I wasn't abusive. She even still said after we got divorced that, she thinks I'm one of the nicest people she knows, but
right.
wasn't present. I wasn't a good husband. When I got the news that I was supposed to have my fourth back surgery,
Ugh,
and then okay, I can't do what I did for a living now. I was installing restaurant fire suppression systems. I had been a mechanic for New Jersey Transit, but I lost my CDL after getting a second DUI. So it's just, you can see where this is going. It's just like, I'd have a couple good years, I do all right, boom, something happens.
boom, something
Rehab,
happens.
DWIs, this type of thing. So you become a creature of habit. Like my new
Yeah,
habits I'm a creature of my new habits. My old habits were, okay, you know what? Let's just ignore everything, put the world on mute in a sense, and
mhm,
just go along, basically just going through the motions every day. And yeah, I remember saying like, I just feel like, I remember saying, I think I might have said it to my mom, like like I can't catch a break. And that's the worst thing you could start saying is I can't catch a break. You got to make your breaks, man. Like,
yeah,
I can't, I would say like, I can't catch a break. Life sucks. Like,
mm,
I was dealt such a bad hand. What am I supposed to do? I guess I'm just going to be, and it's one of the funny things I said was, I guess I'll never be in shape. And I used that as an excuse. Like I wasn't fucking lazy sitting on my ass for the 15 years before that. You know what I
right.
mean? That's not why I wasn't in shape. I wasn't in shape because I was fucking lazy and I didn't want to do anything.
Well, you weren't motivated either. So I mean, like I said, when I hit rock bottom, I wouldn't say I hit rock bottom where I lost everything. I mean, I hit rock bottom where I realized my drinking became a bad habit. When you're going to a bar, you drink a few drinks and you go home, you drink some more. And then you wake up with a bottle in your hand and you take a shot and you go to work. and then you leave for lunch, you take a shot. You come back home, you take a shot, and you're going to the bar. Like I realized I had a drinking problem, and it sucked, and I didn't realize how bad my drinking problem was until, man, maybe where I really met my wife. That
Yeah,
where
you
she was.
start hurting the people you love, man.
Well, I think it was more like I was just getting to know her, and she was like, you drink a lot. I'm like, I love to be loose, like the party. You know what I mean?
I know
But
that well.
and I'm realizing I'm 30 something years old. I'm not married. Half of my almost every single one of my friends were married with kids. I'm like, damn, I'm a little late to the party. So there's something I was smoking cigarettes. I was doing, I didn't do anything like to like harm my body. Well, drinking wise, you know what I mean? You hurt your body that way. But for me, it was totally the drinking because I would just go crazy. I mean, Jack Daniels, Jack and Cokes, man. I would drink can bottles like what I have here. I don't, you can't see it, but
Yeah, no,
like
I get
it's like
a big mug, like a
yeah,
20
yeah.
mug or whatever.
So
Yeah.
half of it's Jack, couple doinks of Coke. That's it. That's how I
Yeah,
would
splash
drink.
of Coke, right? Splash of
Yes,
Coke.
splash of Coke. But
Yeah.
there's some times where I would put some Advils in my body and I drink it just to feel somewhat numb, just to get over it. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, it's a
to
vicious cycle, man.
it,
And I
it is a vicious cycle. The funny
don't
thing is,
realize how quick you're getting caught up in it while it's,
it actually took me one time to realize how fucked up I was.
oh
It was
no.
it took me once because
No, it took me years and years and years and years
it
to
was
look
kind of
like, okay, I can do this without this. You know what I mean? Like, but how am I going to meet a girl if I can't loosen up a little bit, or how am I going to, you
how
know,
are you going to be you without, like you said, how are you going to be you?
yeah, like,
And I get that, and I respect that because it's not easy, man. You're talking about things that you can't control. Like I know when I went out drinking the last time I went hardcore drinking, I was at a bar. I had an equivalent of 22 double Jack and Cokes. So if you think about like the pint glasses, that's equivalent of two Jack and Cokes. The bar knew me. They're like, "Oh, Gomez, yeah, you're good." You know what I mean? Pounding, pounding, shots of Dr. McGillicuddy's, tequila, everything you can think of. I looked like I was sober. I wasn't. I knew I was bombed out
yeah,
of my ass. So what did I do? I go outside, puff on a smoke, on a cigarette, puked. I puked. I said, okay, I'm ready to go drive. I'm fine. I'm driving home. I drove home. Kev, what I'm talking about, I don't know how I didn't get into a car accident,
hurt somebody else, hurt yourself.
kill somebody, not even hurt somebody, kill somebody or kill
Yeah,
myself.
yeah,
I got home, I puked more. I laid in bed and how you're really bad when the room starts spinning.
yeah,
And I puked my guts out. And my mom saw me. I was puking in the tub, turned around, I puked on her. I mean, this is where I was 23. I just turned 23.
yeah,
And I was still living at home. And you know, when people say when you die, you go unconscious and you stop breathing, you see a light.
yeah,
That's no joke. I literally thought when I saw myself and I thought I was dying, I saw my dad. He goes, "What the hell are you thinking?"
yeah. You had an awakening. Yeah,
And I had an epiphany right there, and I'm just like, "Dad, I don't know what I'm doing. I lost control." And and that's something that's huge because I I didn't drink as much after that. It's like an epiphany almost, you could say. Like,
yeah. No, I like when I talk about me, like I'm gonna get into mine, like because
yeah, no,
I had a,
that's something I can't wait because like you
yeah,
said, and one thing I learned is I burnt a lot of bridges with a lot of good friends, especially guys like Brad. He was always there for me, always had my back. I burned bridges with him, but now we've reconnected. You know what I mean? Which is a great thing. You know what I mean? We don't
yeah,
hang out like
absolutely.
every time, but if
Right. No,
we're if we're at Blarney, if he invites me to Blarney with some of the old guys, like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? And just
there's no bad blood, right? Of
there's no bad blood. There's no blood. There's it's just happiness and realizing that.
course, man. And that's awesome, man. That's great that you, it's weird how things work too. Like you would have never thought like getting that hammered, you'd have such a vivid memory that you actually remembered.
I'll
You know
tell you,
what
it scared the
I used to
shit
black
out
out
of me.
all the time.
So did
Oh,
I, but this is the one that
black out
scared
all the
the
time. I wouldn't remember half the shit. Kev, you know what you did last night? No. You
no.
know, you
But Kev,
started a fight or you did this or you did this or I was a wild card, man.
but when I
33%
say,
of the time I was fun,
well,
33% of the time I was a madman, and 33% of the time like
I'll
it
tell
was
you,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, man. It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, of course it should.
And then I stopped
Yeah,
drinking
man.
hardcore. Then I went calm. I was calm. Like I was a social drinker there. I'll have a few drinks here and there. Even before I met my wife, it wasn't as bad as it was before, where I was drinking every single minute to
Yeah,
get just to get drunk,
yeah.
just to feel good. Like you said, try to hook up, try to meet girls, try to do this.
Yeah,
Because when I was happy drunky Alex or Gomez, or yeah, I guess people, my first name is Alex, just in case no one realizes it. No one's used it in a long time. But when I was that guy, I had confidence, like you said. I was
it's false confidence. It's not,
it's very false confidence because
it's yeah, it's liquid courage. You know what I mean? It's
when I wake up going, oh my god, I hooked up with this. Like I seriously could say that a couple times. Like, oh god, what did I do? Like I want to throw up.
yeah.
And and life lessons. I mean, like I said, I burnt a lot of bridges, but I was kind of happy as I got older. I was able to mend a lot of them. Not every single bridge I was able to mend, which I understand. I respected the people's
And you know what?
decisions.
If it's meant to be,
Yeah,
it'll come back eventually.
it will. It will. I mean,
I
like I
feel
said,
like everything
any
actually works.
everything has a purpose in life. And you know, growing up, being the only child, I'm lucky. I've been married God, almost 9 years now with my wife.
That's
I've
awesome.
yeah, and I have two kids.
Yeah. It's,
I had my hardships. The last couple of years during COVID. Did something stupid, and I see somebody now because you need help.
yeah. You got to
I
have an outlet. You got to have an outlet, some sort of outlet to whether it's talking to somebody
Mhm.
or you have to have an outlet. You can't just keep everything in and not only just have an outlet, you have to not only just like hear things like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. You have to like really take a step back and like be honest with yourself too, because a lot of people, including me, I could see things in other people, but like in me, it was like, oh no, I'm not negative, I'm not this, I'm not that. But then when you finally take a step back and you're really like, okay, like
Mhm.
this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is what, like
This could be a problem.
right. And like, this last time, like how all this started,
Mhm.
is kind of like I was so the one picture you probably saw with me with the walker, right?
Yes, I did see that one. Yes,
So
which I was like, holy Christ, you know what I mean?
that picture was right after my fourth back surgery. Now,
Back surgery.
I was separated from my wife at the time. Um, I had lost my job or career, told to go on disability, told to wear a back brace everywhere I go, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. And at that point in that mindset, I kind of
Yeah.
accepted that victim mentality, like, okay, then I guess this is my life from now on. Like, and you see people, oh, how's your back doing? How's your back doing? Like that was like almost turned into an identity, like my back, my Crohn's disease, my
Yeah.
almost turned, oh, Kev, how's your stomach? How's your this? How's your that? Well, like I was tired of being a fucking victim, man. Like,
I can
uh,
only imagine. I mean,
tired of
it's
not being confident, tired of like they say in the rooms, like in NA in those room in like recovery, they say like you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it's
mhm.
so true because like you just get like just so worn down. Plus you gotta try to keep up with what you told to this person. Like you're not honest with yourself, let alone you tell white lies all the time. You're
Right.
especially if you're high, you'll tell anybody anything just to you know, but,
It's not
yeah,
easy.
man, I used to, oh, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, I said it's not easy for anybody.
No, no. And, you know, and I dragged my parents through the mud too. Like I said, like I stole, not proud of any of it,
Mhm.
my dad had physical ailments and didn't really take many pills all the time. So he had like extras and I don't want to say extras, but he had like a lot of pills,
Enough to make
different
you.
kinds, different kinds. And it was like a buffet for me every once in a while. You know what I mean? Like Xanax, Percocets, Oxycontin, and I'm mixing them and
Yeah.
but then I'll be good. Like I wouldn't do them for like 2 months, and then I'd be like, all right, uh, you know, let me go dibble, let me go grab some. I get like a plastic bag. I put a bunch of pills in them, and then for the
Mhm.
next 2 months, I'd be a fucking zombie.
And that's
Yeah,
the thing I noticed. I known a few people like that because you're like, what are you doing to yourself? Why are you doing this? It's hard to say why you're doing it. It's hard because when you look at yourself, I look at you, Kevin. I've known you for so many years. You were always that kid that was always happy, like but I never knew there was ever a problem. Even when you went to St. Pete's and you were at St. Mary's, you know what I mean?
Oh
You know,
yeah, no, I like and I wasn't I don't want to say I was miserable, but like I wasn't a confident person. Like I was a class clown. I joked around, I fucked around a lot. Like that was my way to fit in, I guess you could say.
yeah,
Like and then it turned into like, okay, I'm the crazy dude. Like I can do all this other stupid shit, like take a bunch of this or take a bunch of this. Like my war stories were like I was cool, like Kevin's like nuts, you know what I mean? Or
mhm,
he's a clown, or like and it wasn't me. It was like a facade in a sense, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, kind of creating like this but yeah, man, like even as a kid, like I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 5, right? So um I was sick. Not as sick as you would, like Crohn's disease is very serious, and there's a lot of people that have it. Like my sister-in-law has it very serious, but um, like I haven't had like any of my intestines removed.
Oh, okay, good.
I've been on a bunch of medicines. Like while I was in St. Mary's at night, I fed through a tube.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I had to put a tube in my nose and down in my stomach every night. I
And
remember
that,
watching the Final Four with a backpack on with a tube going in my stomach because I had to put it in at a certain time, hanging out at somebody's house just with food pumping in me because
see,
I couldn't gain weight, man. I was 4'10" when I went into
yeah,
high school.
no, I
Six-
remember you.
67 pounds,
Yeah, I remember you were no, but you were skinny back in the day. But no one. I never knew that. You know what I mean? As a friend, like I never said, "Oh, dude, you look like a sickling." No, because you were
I
there to talk to everybody at that time.
yeah, and I think too, like people just like assumed like maybe I was just small. Some people thought I was small. Some
I
people,
thought I not for nothing. I'm not gonna lie when I say yeah, I thought you were small. But
yeah,
we always
I
but
was. I
what
was anyway. But then I was even smaller. The fact that I couldn't keep a lot of nutrients in, like it would either come out one way
or another.
or the other. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's the thing. Like like again, we like when we were talking about like how much difference we've been through. Like you always known me as the big guy.
yeah.
I was never skinny. From Rutherford days, from Rutherford rec soccer, you never seen a big guy like me besides Mike Clare run like a crazy madman all over a soccer field or football field or baseball field. We played soccer, we played baseball, and I never knew that was you were going through all that, man, because I always saw you as Kev,
And I also put out I held a lot in. Like I said, I was a clown. So like I acted out, I did those type of things. And I'm not saying like my life was miserable at all. Like I had a lot of good times as a kid and
Right.
I had a good upbringing. I had all that stuff. But yeah, I struggled with my mental health definitely for a long time. And I still did. And I still, it's an everyday thing now too. Like I have to certain things I have to do to make sure it's almost like I have to earn my day.
Yeah.
You see the amount of work I put in when it comes to training and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
relentless in a sense. You know what I mean? Because I was the opposite. I wanted to not be that person so bad when all
Mm.
this started, that I was willing to set myself on fire if need be. I was willing to literally do anything and everything. So like you can quote me. So here, I'll start with like how kind of a lot of this started. So, okay, so I got during COVID, my wife, like very beginning of COVID, my wife and I split up. I moved back down to my parents' house. Um, my parents were in Florida at the time. They were snowbirds kind of, but they got stuck in Florida because of COVID.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm split up. We're gonna eventually end up getting a divorce. We haven't filed or done anything yet, so it's a couple months there where I'm kind of just not sure if I don't remember really if I had taken any pills or anything like that
Hmm.
at my parents' house for that time, but I remember like getting the ball rolling on kind of like, okay, like this isn't working. Um, you know, tried. Maybe I didn't try as much as maybe I don't know. I definitely could have been a better husband, I'm sure. You know, but so we tried. So I left, and then I remember I was home. I was now separated, probably over a month or so, to a couple months, and I remember I always wanted more. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what it was. Like I was never satisfied. Do you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, I always kind of wanted more. Didn't know what it was. I was never but so then I what's it called? So then I started to really focus on like, okay, like I want to be a more positive person. And at this point I still didn't realize like I was still negative, but I was like, I was starting to transition to be a little happier and
Hmm.
kind of a little, I wanted more. I didn't want to live this way anymore. I knew that. I didn't know how to do it, but I didn't want to live this way anymore.
Right.
So, and this way, meaning, um, like I can share some pictures with you after, or a picture with you after,
Hmm.
where like COVID started and I knew I wasn't going to see anybody. So I shaved my head, shaved my beard, except for like a mustache. Like I
Right.
looked creepy and weird as fuck. But like, it just showed, like, you look at this person, you're like, this guy's not like, is a fake smile. You could tell
You're just not.
I have
You're not
like a
you.
V-neck on with like a little like I just look terrible, you know. Um and so anyway, so I start to kind of like I'm doing a little better mentally. I mean, I haven't really done too much to kind of work on it or fix it, but like not just being by myself and not being around anybody. I was starting
Hmm.
to kind of like, I don't want to say heal, but I just a little, a little, I didn't have any outside influence. I wasn't arguing with anybody. I wasn't this, I wasn't that. So like
You were starting to feel you.
was starting to
That's.
feel a little bad. Yes, I was starting to kind of, but still not there.
Right.
So I remember I started doing, uh, an old friend of mine had here and there had some work for his business that he was just throwing me a little bit here and there
Hmm.
just to make a couple extra bucks while I was out of work.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to him one day, and this is probably like 5 months, 6 months maybe after or maybe actually a little more than that, 6, 7 months after I had left, uh, separated and all that other stuff. So I remember saying to him like, we're talking about books or something, and I hadn't read a book in 20 years. So
It's amazing what happens when you start reading a book. Starts
yeah,
getting interesting.
so I hadn't read a book in 20 years. I hadn't done much of anything. I kind of half-assed a lot of stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, when I was at New Jersey Transit, I was an A-rate mechanic. I got all the way up to the top, but I half-assed stuff. Like I went through school, I did well, I did okay in school, but after
Hmm.
that, I didn't try to be a better mechanic. I didn't study. I just did whatever I needed to just to get by. Like
Hmm.
I wanted to eat. I took the easiest path to anything. I wanted a shortcut for everything. I didn't care if I didn't do the work and it was done. Like I just had that mindset where like it was like the path of least resistance was where I was going.
Right.
I mean, so then okay, so now we're back to fast forwarding, and I'm talking about books. So I remember saying to him, like, listen, man, I'm just not a reader. Like, I don't read. And then, like, 3 days later, something just inside me was like, something clicked and something, and I was like, I said to myself, like, you're not a reader. Well, you need to be a reader. That's not a good enough excuse.
Mhm.
So this is where it start. You could see my mind. I'm starting to kind of like at least want more, right?
Right,
So
right.
so then he recommended a book. I said, okay, I need to read. I haven't read a book in I haven't finished a book in 20 years. I've started a few, haven't finished them. So maybe more than 20 years. But anyway, so he recommends this book. Well, this book, um, when we talk about epiphany, so I'm a slow reader, so I'm like a week and a half into the book.
Right.
And I'm noticing like this book is it's a powerful book. It was written in like the 1940s or 30s, and it's still like a bestseller all the time. Like it's and the name of the book, I'm not gonna hide it from people, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
I remember that book.
Really famous book. I
Yeah.
never heard. So okay, so then I'm like, okay, I need to be a reader. So I start reading this book. And I remember when he recommended the book, he says there's something in the book. He's like, and if you can pick up on it, it's gonna really help you. But not everybody picks up on it, but I can't tell you what it is because it doesn't actually have a name. But there's something, the book is powerful, basically. So I'm
Right.
reading this book like a week and a half in. I'm like, all of a sudden, like I'm like, I just feel lighter. Like
Right.
I feel like there's like almost have, I don't want to say wings, but like I just felt lighter. Like I felt like I was kind of on the right path for some reason.
Mhm.
So I start reading this book. Things are like my perception is changing. Now, my perception before that was like, okay, I'm fucked. I got dealt a bad hand. Like my
Yeah.
life's got stuck. Like I'm in mud right now,
Right, right.
going anywhere. Like what's my future hold? I have no skill. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do now. Like I was a contractor, I was a grunt, I was a knuckle dragger, like I was a mechanic, and I was never like a cerebral guy. Like I wasn't the smartest guy. So like I did like, I was a mechanic, I did grunt work, I did like stuff like that. I was decent with my hands at times, but not great. I could have been better if I worked at it more, but
Right.
that goes to my old way of living. Like I just didn't put the effort in. I wasn't honest with myself either. A lot of things. So anyway, so I'm reading this book and I'm like, holy shit. Like, so at this point, I'm driving up back and forth up and down the parkway and the turnpike. Uh, and I just noticed, like, okay, I'm a week and a half in, and now things are really changing. Like my brain, like my soul is understanding what's going on in this book. And it's not only absorbing it, but it's changing the way I'm looking at life. It's changing the way I'm looking and listening to things. So like I'm hearing music and I'm not hearing it the same way. I'm hearing the message. I'm hearing a message from I could be a friggin' Burger King commercial and I'm getting something out of it. I'm
Well,
getting something out of everything. I'm driving down the parkway and I see a billboard that says something, but I'm getting a message like you're on the right path, keep going. You need to outwork everybody. You need to fight for this. You're worth it. You can really all this like stuff like I'm the underdog, like kind of like a Rocky story.
yeah, yeah.
Like everything started changing. And when I say like I had an epiphany. Like I know some people are probably like, "Oh, this fucking dude's probably still on drugs," but like,
Nah, no, no.
but
I
like,
could
no, I
tell.
know what you're saying. But like, so like when I say things started changing, man, things started fucking changing. So like, music I'm reading, the music I'm listening to, the billboards. So then, fast forward like a couple days later, when I'm like, wow, like this is awesome. Like I don't know what's going on, but I I remember talking to him, being like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but like I'm getting messages from this. Like all of a sudden, like I feel like I got a blueprint. I know what I need to do with my life. Like all this. It was like I I felt like almost like I was starting to figure things out,
Hmm.
but I still wasn't anywhere near that. So that statement's not really true yet. But so okay, so now I'm 2 weeks into the book. And now we're gonna talk about how I literally started this whole thing,
Journey.
this whole journey, correct. So I something made me go on YouTube and
Okay.
and I hit the search button and I typed in motivation. Never really did it. Not sure why. Oh, I kind of know why, because I wanted more now. Now I
Yeah.
knew, hey, like things don't have to suck. Like things get better. no storm lasts forever. I love that fucking quote.
That's a
No
great
storm
quote.
lasts forever, because it doesn't. As bad as it seems when you're in it, it will get better. And you know what? Even bad experience, as bad as they are, you can always learn something from them, no matter what it is. You could get anything from it. Something, no matter how bad the situation is, and I mean, no matter how bad, there's something to either, there's a lesson to be learned from it,
Hmm.
or maybe it's something you know now you don't need. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? So anyway, so I YouTube motivation. Okay, and then what comes up is two David Goggins videos. Do you know him?
No, I do not.
He's a,
I'll say that.
he's a retired Navy SEAL. He was also an Army Ranger. He was also tactical Air Force. Like, he's the only person to go through 3 Hell Weeks with the Navy SEAL training in the same year.
Wow. Oh,
He
Jesus.
did Army Ranger school. He also, like, this guy is an amazing, amazing, amazing human being. A lot of people look at him like he's crazy. He's not crazy. He's fucking driven. He
Yeah, he knows what he
knows
wants.
what the fuck life is. Like, he just gets it. And like that Navy SEAL mentality, that special forces mentality about pushing through tough things. And like, so anyway, so his thing came up. I watched he was a guest on, he's been a guest on a bunch of podcasts, but the ones that I saw, I watched two of his podcasts, an hour and a half each, I
Hmm.
believe. And
Okay.
he's what he's talking about. I'm like, I feel like he's talking to me. I'm crying. I'm like, holy shit, like I've never heard anybody present anything like this. Like, he's so fucking raw and passionate, and like I'm getting chills just fucking talking about it.
I'm actually getting chills over here and listening to you
He's
talking
just
about it.
he's just so raw and so passionate, and like he talks about, like, like, you've got to do the things you don't want to do.
Hmm.
Got to do things that suck. You got to embrace the suck. You got to take a step back and be honest with yourself about your shortcomings, and like the shit, like your character flaws, and the shit that you hate about yourself, and the shit that like some people might not even know about you. But like, in order to grow, you have to start from scratch, and you have to be able to step back and really admit all your shit. Like, I had to take responsibility for everything. Like, yeah, maybe the marriage wasn't all my fault, but I had a big part in it, in the
Yeah.
thing. It's like, me not being where I wanted to be, it's nobody else to blame but me. I
Hmm.
didn't put the work in. I didn't have the right mindset. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. And it's true. Like, I had a mirror, my mirror, I had post-its on it with all shit that I fucking hated about myself. So I could see it every fucking day and kind of work through it, work
Hmm.
through it, work through it. And I watched this interview, and this is that same night. Now I know I jump around a little bit, but
No, it's all right.
I'm watching
Trust
this
me.
interview, and I'm crying. He's going through everything, and I'll be honest, he puts out like a blueprint, and he puts it out like nobody else you'll ever see, meet, anything. Um, but like, he's so fucking brutally honest too. I was like, I feel like he's talking to me. Like, you don't you're scared of everything, so you don't try anything. I stopped challenging myself. I stopped doing anything that was tough or anything that required some effort, because if I failed, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to handle it. Well, failing, you only fail when you quit.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand. I was not, I didn't realize how much I didn't know. Um, but like, I've learned so much about myself just through doing hard things every day. So like, so in other words, so here we go. So I had to start doing things that I hated, right? But
Hmm.
that were good for me. So that night, I went out for my first run, and I hadn't been active in forever, right? I hadn't been
Right.
active years and years and years. I mean, I played men's softball, but that's not,
It,
that's not active. Right.
that's not that active.
Right, right. So like, I didn't know what the inside of a gym looked like. I could barely do a push up. Let alone, I could, if I ran a half a mile, I would throw up. So
Hmm.
like, so I remember that night, I'm thinking, wow, like, he's talking to me, like the hair standing up, like I'm
Right.
crying. I'm like, I know now, I kind of know from the book to this,
Hmm.
like the book set a fire, right? The book set the fire, right?
Right. So
To
that's a
push
good thing.
me to like, Now, David Goggins, these videos, they poured gasoline on this motherfucker. So I went
Fucking
from
crazy.
I went from like somebody who was like, okay, to like, oh shit, like I know what the fuck I need to do now. I need to
Yeah.
start challenging myself. I need to be honest with myself. I need to really work through the stuff. Like, I'm scared of this. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of this. Like, I use this as a crutch. I use this as a crutch. I blamed people for this. I blamed others for this. Like, I'm not where I want to be because my back hurts, or I'm not. Well, it's none of that, man. Like, I still could have done stuff if I put the effort, and that's what it was. Like, I wasn't honest with myself. I didn't put the effort in that I needed to. I had no discipline, zero discipline. Um, and that's what I needed. I needed a routine. I needed discipline. I started reading books. I think I read like 20 books that first year.
Hmm.
And my first year ever running, I ran 2,400 miles.
Christ. I don't think
So
I
like
walked that far.
just to like, so January 26th, 2021 was my first run. I
Hmm.
think it was 0.4.
Actually, you know what's funny that you're saying that? I saw that picture on Instagram.
Yeah. So since then, it's been 7,000. I've run over 7,000 miles, and I never ran.
Right. You weren't a runner back in the day either that I know
I
of.
no. I
The
mean, I
only,
was
the only,
athletic.
the only thing you were running, the only thing you were running was either from someone for something, or
Yeah.
or you're just running to catch to do something else. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, no, I didn't run. I didn't, but I realized through a lot of this though that like, discipline is so important. Discipline is important. And like doing things you don't want to do changed my life. Like doing things that suck and doing things.
right.
When I say suck, I don't necessarily mean like dragging needles across your arms. I mean
No, but the hard
like
work
like hard work and discipline and stuff
and
like.
dedication.
And right. And like I knew that I was willing to do anything and everything to finally be proud of myself, to like myself, to love myself, to actually like to want to live. Like I remember not wanting to live, like not wanting to live and all that stuff. And like through his interviews, like he had a horrible upbringing. He was beaten as a kid and all this, and he found a way to channel it and use it as fuel.
Mhm.
So like I I started listening, and when I say like this became a full-time job, that's kind of an understatement. I had pieces of paper taped all over the house, all over the house. You're disciplined, you're positive, you're
Mhm.
productive, you're this. So I woke up to positivity.
Right.
And I would listen to stuff on YouTube or whatever about like the law of attraction and how, and not just the law of attraction, but also just about like, putting in the work. I started listening to the right people. I started listening to David Goggins. I started listening to another retired Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink.
Mhm.
I started reading their books. Another guy who I love is Cameron Haynes. He's an ultra runner. Also, he's one of the best bow hunters in the world, and his just mindset and just the way he approaches life is just like I love these guys. Like these guys, Jordan Peterson, um, Chris Williamson, Joe Rogan, Ed Milet. Like these guys have basically their social media and their work, like their books, I've
Mhm.
read their books, they're they've put me on the right path. And like I didn't just read the books, right? I
Right.
applied the principles that are in the books. So I started doing things that were hard. I started challenging myself. I stopped, um, not saying that I don't at times, but like I try not to worry too much about like try to focus on the now, and
Mhm.
I really when I set a goal, I don't half-ass it, like I really push myself now. Like I've read over 30 something books since 7,000 miles. I biked probably 1,500 to 2,000 miles. And I went from being a lazy, undisciplined, poopy pants excuse maker to now. I'm not saying like, I'm sure I make some excuses at times, for stuff, um, but like, yeah, like these guys literally like their books, the way they think. Like I wanted that. Like I'm still willing to do stuff that a lot of people a lot of other people aren't willing to do as far as, and I don't mean that in a way like I'm better. I just mean that
No, but
like not everybody's gonna, some people may want to do a race, right? They
yeah.
half-ass the training. I'm not gonna do that anymore. So like you see my training now.
I was gonna say I watch a lot of your videos that you post on Instagram. You know, and one thing I notice is the motivation you're putting towards it. Like, you have your Sunday motivation, or when you're going to work with your shirt and tie, you know what I mean? You're like, "What's up, guys? Happy Friday." You know what I mean? Let's get it going. You see that positivity in you. You know what I mean? And that's something
Yeah,
like, wow.
and I didn't have that, and that's like, and when this started, like I remember like his book, part of the book, he had like little challenges in the audio book, and it was like kind of making yourself vulnerable. And
Mhm.
I I felt like I could relate with a lot of the stuff. So like, so I remember doing the first video, it said like film yourself doing whatever and this and that. And like I was only like, I don't know, a week or so into like running or whatever. And I had all these people like, oh yeah, like kind of like cheering me on, like you got this, you got this. And it's
Yeah.
like
You
it's pretty
actually have
cool.
you're
And then like as I started like doing more and more, like I was through from then till now. Like I remember saying like a while ago, like, oh, I'd love to help people for a living and do something like, you know, and I didn't know how. Like I would say, oh, maybe a nurse, maybe something like this to help people. And I had no idea like this would be part of that, because like I can't even tell you how many people have messaged me, people that I barely know, people that I know, people that I didn't even think liked me, people that all different types of people, and countless people. Dude, you've motivated me, you've inspired me to do this, you've helped me get off the couch, you've helped me. I have MS, and now I'm doing this, and I've struggled with this, and now I'm doing this, and like I didn't know any of this was gonna come of this, and like,
and
and
that's
I
the
get,
positive.
oh my God, it fuels me even more. Like, so now too, like you see, I make sure I do a reel every day, whether I
Yeah.
say something or I don't. It holds me accountable. And also I want people to know that like, yeah, I'm I'm not going anywhere. This is not a hobby. This is a lifestyle. Like
Mhm.
I'm about growth. I'm about being better than I was yesterday, no matter what it is.
And
You
that's the
know,
best way of doing it.
whether it's I listen to a book or a podcast I try to listen to a book or a podcast every day. I'd say 98% of the days I do,
Mm.
95% I do. Some days I listen to music instead, but I try to do something mentally and physically every day. um I don't take a lot of rest days, but I do occasionally, especially like towards the end of my training before races, I'll end up taking some
I
rest days.
you gotta rest the body a little bit, but like I know what you mean. When it comes to that part, especially when you're in training, it's not easy.
No, and it's not supposed to be easy, and life's not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. And
No.
that's another thing I had to realize too. Like I had to stop looking at like, oh, I got to go to work tomorrow. No, you get to go to work tomorrow. You get to go to work tomorrow. You get to wake up tomorrow. You
Yeah.
get to do all these things. Like these aren't negatives. Like you get it. You get to do all these things. Like um, you don't. What was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought for a
That's all
second.
right. Well, you're going on a good roll with the negative part. Like you
Yeah.
just don't do these things. I will agree with you on that, Kev, because you know what it is. Like for me as a podcaster, you know what I mean? Like there was a point this year, even though I've been on another show for some time, doing your own show is the hardest.
Yeah.
And you know
Gotta
what
edit all that stuff, right?
yeah, no, I don't even edit, dude. This is raw. This is how I like it because this is me. This is who I am. You know what I mean? I don't want to edit because I want people to see who I really am. You know what I mean? That's why I said,
Love it.
curse away. This is why I'm different from other people, other podcasts. Listen, I don't need Justin Timberlake from NSYNC to come over here to my show to blow my numbers up. You know what I mean? I'm not that guy. But you know what? If I can reach just one person through one of my blogs or one of my or someone pays attention to any of my shows in podcasting or in YouTube, because I air both, if I get through to one person, that means I did my job. And that makes me happy as all hell. I
Yeah, of
ref-
course, man. The same with me. Like I love when like if it fires me up, man. When I see people, I love underdogs, man. Like if I see somebody overcoming something or somebody pushing themselves, like that shit fires me up, man. Like I'm a passionate, intense dude now.
I could
Uh,
see that, and that's what I love. It's just
yeah,
that I see the passion. Like I
I'm a,
want, like for me,
yeah.
like I'm passionate getting the show better every time. Hey,
You
do I have
gotta be,
hiccups? Do I have hiccups? Of course I do.
right. You gotta be. You
Am I gonna
just,
have?
yep,
Is everyone gonna love my show? No. Is there gonna be somebody who's gonna listen to it and say, "Holy Christ, he's doing so well"?
yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And this is what motivates me. Like, it's funny. I refer back to Knight Rider all the time. One of my all time favorite shows,
What was it?
Knight Rider.
Oh,
And and that one thing that always was said, one man can make a difference. If I can make a difference in one person, I know I did something right, man.
yeah, man. That's like coaching too. Like when people coach, like,
Yeah.
I hit my brother, like, like if one kid can improve and get better, then, then I'm happy. Like you want people, you want to see people get better. You want to see
Yeah.
people grow, like there's enough pie for everybody to eat, man. We don't
I
kind
was
of,
blessed. I got blessed to coaching at St. Mary's after high school, man.
oh, nice.
So I got a few years in there, and it's kind of funny. Some of the kids that I coached as freshmen, I still talk to them to this day, and they still
Oh,
remembers like,
nice.
they still remembers like, dude, I remember when you made me do this and how you always praised, football last. I go, because that was my mistake. I was football first and not family or friends second, or
Yeah.
schoolwork, and that was my mess up in life. And that's why when I was able to coach, I praised it the other way around. School, family, God, school, back to school again. You know what I mean? Just family will always come before football. You know
Yeah,
what I
of
mean? And
course.
and I will say, even though Coach Sheridan, he was the toughest dean I think I've ever seen at St. Mary's. But I will say
Yeah, he
this.
wasn't a big fan of me.
But I'll tell you this, man. Oh, I know. I think I've been in his office more than you have when you were in there. But I gotta say, the guy might have been tough, but he straightened me out. You know what I mean?
Helped a lot of people.
He did, even
Yeah.
though his methods were at that point. I was like, he pushed me to become better. Like he motivated me to get better, and I'll never forget it when we were training in the gym in the 110-degree weather, and the gym is like 120. I'm sweating my balls off
Yeah.
as I'm running around. One thing I remember my junior year is seeing a couple of the seniors come up and push me and jog me. Next thing you notice, a couple of days later, you see the whole team come together as a family. And that's something I always praise is you go
Yeah.
back to family. So,
Sure.
you know, here we are. We're actually getting towards the end of the show, man. It's like we talked a lot, and you really, really like showed a lot, man. And I think you're going to reach out to a lot of people that you don't realize. You know what I mean? And that's something I am posting. You're like a true inspirational story now, man.
I appreciate that. I
I
appreciate that. I
if
mean,
you
and
ever,
there's honestly, there's a lot more too. I know, like, obviously, I know you know, we're almost done, but
yeah,
like, there's obviously
we could always
more.
do another one.
Yeah, no, of course, but yeah, no, it's about like believing in yourself too. Like that was what changed too. Like I finally was like, okay, I had to stop putting limits on myself.
Mm.
Limits are mental. I don't care what anybody says. All your limitations are mental. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not going to be LeBron James, right?
Oh no, hell no.
But but after 4 back surgeries, who would have thought I would run 100 miles in April.
Yeah,
Like, who would have thought? And straight, no sleep, nothing. It's 27 hours straight,
and that's awesome.
um, and I'm not saying like to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying like literally like used to hear people say like, you can do anything, anything's possible. And like you say, yeah, you take it with a grain of salt, but it's so fucking true.
It
Anything
is.
possible. And like you just really have to stop putting these limitations on yourself and just like think big. Like think think great. Don't think mediocre. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Like mediocre thinking doesn't really, you don't I don't want to be average. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be myself. I want to be great. I want to do things.
mhm.
Um, and like pushing past being uncomfortable. Nothing good comes from comfort zones. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I've run injured. I've run through back spasms. I've run, you
You've
name
done them
it.
all.
It's not going to stop me from doing what I want to do anymore. You know what I mean? And like, I let everything get in my way. I let everything affect my mental. I let everything, you know, take hold of me, basically control me. And
Mhm.
like you know, believing in yourself. I had to create a routine. I started working out. I started running twice a day. I started working out, reading books. Like I started doing things that I knew were good for me. Because let's be honest, if we're honest with ourselves, we all know what we need, right? We
Mhm.
just don't do it.
Yeah.
We make an excuse. Oh, I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow. That's the worst fucking thing habit you can get into. Do
That's
it
one of my
tomorrow.
bad
I'll put it
habits.
off. I'll put it off. I'll put it off. I'll put it off. I'll put it off. Fucking do it, man. Like,
Yeah, no, I
don't get
gotta
me
do it.
wrong. Like, I don't necessarily like. There's things every once in a while that like I plan to do that don't get done, but like I I get shit done now. Like, like I train. I train my ass off. I work. I'm also taking night classes now for
Good.
cybersecurity. I'm
Nice.
really trying to be the best version of myself daily. Um,
Nice.
and that's what's changed my life. Like doing hard things, uh, being good to myself, but also not giving myself always an easy way out. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you got to deal with certain things. Like you don't want to like do this. Well, guess what? That's what you need to do. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like, you don't always want to maybe have the talk with somebody, but you have
You gotta
or
have it.
you avoid things because it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be hard and you don't want to do it. But like you do those things that you don't want to do. And then when you're done, you're like, oh shit, like it really wasn't that bad. Like if I could do this, I could do this. If I could do this, now I could do this. And it doesn't stop, man. And you just keep setting goals and goals and goals and goals and goals. And the thing that I never did either was I didn't set goals. And setting goals, I think is so important because it kind of dangles a carrot. So like
Mhm.
I mean, I don't take off of training. Like I typically, even when I don't have a race, I'm still training and stuff. But like when I have a race, I'm a little more focused in on training. So like my
Mhm.
training's a little more regimented, a little more. But uh, but yeah, it's yeah, my life. I love my life now.
Good,
And I'm not
man.
saying everything's perfect. I still go through life is tough, man. It's not easy. But now that I know and have accepted that it's not supposed to be easy, and you just gotta go through the storms, man. Like, but go through them with your head up. You know what I mean? You can't go around life with your head down, man. You miss so many of the beautiful things. Like the universe, I feel like puts things in front of you, and if your head's down and you're always oh poor me, or you're always in a bad spot, man. You're gonna miss a lot of things.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people don't go through bad shit, and it's okay to like not be okay. But if you're honest with yourself, like for instance, like somebody may say, oh, they're in a bad mood, they don't want to do this, but they know if they go help their friend, it's really going to change their mood, but they
Mhm.
don't. Well, you do that stuff. Like you do the stuff that you need to do. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what I started doing. I started to do the things that I knew would help me, instead of just not doing them, basically, and sitting on my ass. So it's really changed my life. And I'm going to continue to keep pushing forward and one step in front of the other. And you know, I hope I hope part of my story helps resonate with some people, and I hope maybe we do this again sometime.
Oh, without a doubt, I would love to dig more in, like when you were, definitely with the rehabs, because I think maybe you're one of maybe a few people that I know that ever went through it,
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't talk about it because sometimes that just takes them back to a spot. But I feel like with you,
it's
you're talking,
fuel for me, man.
yeah, you know what I mean. I think you would resonate a lot of people in that too. I will definitely set something up on that one because that would be something interesting to talk about too. You know what I mean? I mean, tonight was powerful, Kev, because you just took us a huge role in your life right now. You know what I mean? And I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Oh, I can't thank you for having me on, man. Like this was awesome. It was also cool. Like, I'll tell you what, man, I was anxious. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like today, like I was trying to get some schoolwork done, and I noticed like I kept like thinking like I would think of something and I'd like write something down, and then I'd be like, okay, I'd start like walking around. I'm like, all right, I gotta fuck it. Then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to the gym. I was off today from work, so
Oh, okay, all right, I got you.
yeah. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to the gym. So I went to the gym, did some of that, and then got my miles in, my training, like all my other training stuff, and that's what keeps me going now. Like I didn't, doing something hard every day, and when I say hard, I mean just like training
Hmm.
and I try to like outwork the crowd, honestly. And I'm not saying I know there's a shitload of people that outwork me. I'm not saying that, but like I
No,
just
but I
like
get you.
you know, I yeah, man. I train about 2 to 3 hours a day, um, with running and with other stuff. And like I know running's changed my life, man. Like it's like magical.
And that's the
It's
greatest thing. You know what I
it's
mean?
it's done so much for me. I can process things while I'm running. It's almost meditative at times. And not only that, like the growth starts when you really stop making excuses and start owning your shit. Then you can really, then you know where you need to go. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So like, I knew like I had to work on my confidence. I had to work on a shitload of stuff. But like, and once I owned like took responsibility for a lot of the shit that I had done, and is when I really started to see the growth. And like the books, I don't think those books came to me on accident. Like,
They came for a reason.
right. And one other thing I just want to say is like one thing that really got to me when I watched these interviews when I first started was he had said something. So he said, whether you believe in God or not, or you believe in a maker or whoever, he's like, I feel like when you die, you go to this whoever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a chart. And this really resonated with me. And I was like, holy shit, like I don't want to get there. And then like, and he's like, this chart is gonna say, okay, Kevin McCloskey, you are yada yada yada. You were supposed to run ultra marathons. You were supposed to help all these people who are, maybe who haven't found out about these books and haven't found
Mm-hmm.
out how important mindset and stuff. You're supposed to, who knows, run
Right.
ultra. You're supposed to, I don't know, help thousands of people. You were supposed to write a book. You were supposed to do all this stuff. And like, and when you say I got to heaven or wherever it was, and there's my chart where it says, okay, you were you were this, and this, and these were all these fucking great things, all these things that I could never even see myself doing,
Mm-hmm.
but that I was supposed to do, but I didn't do it just because I was lazy and I had a bad attitude and I didn't have any discipline and I was scared to fail, or I was scared of just doing things that are hard. Like
Right.
you gotta suffer. You gotta suffer to grow. I know it sounds crazy and sometimes like that word doesn't gets a big, but like you have to deal with the shit. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, and like I didn't want to get to see that chart and see all these things and be like the only reason I didn't like I was supposed to be this great human being, all these good things, help all these people, but I didn't do it because I was so far in my head and I was so scared of everything and failing and scared to do anything hard and didn't want to put the work in, like all that,
Right.
I missed out on all this good stuff just because I didn't want to put the work in and
Well,
I own shit, you know what I mean? So like it's life's beautiful, man. You just gotta realize that like, like I said earlier, no storm lasts forever. And you know, you can literally be anything you fucking want to be and do great things. We're all meant to do great things, every single one of us. It's just a matter, are we willing to go through what it takes to be great? There's a reason Michael Jordan was great. He worked out harder than anybody.
yeah, he
Kobe
did.
Kobe Bryant had the maybe one of the greatest work ethics of any athlete ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason these guys were great. They were in the gym early. They were in the gym late. They did all the stuff, the intangibles that other people didn't want to do.
Yeah.
They're all talented, right? Talent only takes you so far.
Exactly, and that's where I think tonight we're gonna leave it off. We're gonna definitely hook up again. I'm gonna say in about another month in October. I think we're gonna try to hook up, and we're gonna continue on because I think people are loving what I'm loving what I'm hearing, and
Good.
and
I'm
then
glad, man. Thank you.
and
I
then,
appreciate that.
and I appreciate
Hope
you
I
coming
wasn't
out to.
I hope I didn't ramble too much, or
No, no, listen, it's
or
good
I know
because
I tend to jump from thing
no,
to
but
thing at times, but
this is the best thing. You know what I mean? This is an
yeah, it's
outlet for
raw. Like it's
people.
just shooting the shit too. I haven't talked to you in fucking years, man, and
Exactly.
we somehow come full circle, and like you came up on my Facebook like a while back, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I haven't seen him in a while. Let me, and like now, like I talk to you kind of regular, like
we talk regularly, a little bit
yeah,
regularly
a little
now. Yeah,
bit. Like I'll comment on something you posted, or
yeah,
you're always literally anytime I post a video or something, you're one of the first people to always like it. Always. I
because
appreciate
I'm supporting what you're saying, so that's why I want to be there too. And you're there with when I post my stuff, you know what I mean, and you're giving thumbs up, high fives, and everything. That means a lot to me, and that's where a
and
lot of
it's not, I'm
people.
not just doing it just because,
No,
I'm doing it because like I
it,
like it,
yeah, you're
like I like
supporting.
what you're putting out there. I like, so it's not just about like, yeah, exactly. It's not
It,
just because I know you, you know
no,
what I mean?
no, it's because you're supporting
Right,
me and you're
right.
supporting where I'm going, and that's where I'm supporting you too. You know what I mean? That's why I want people to realize, and definitely we're gonna set up in October. Try to get a date in October, set up again because I want people to know more, and I'm gravitating to more, Meg. And that's one thing I'll say it to you. And I gotta thank you again for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me, man. I guess you see that hammer in the back that's on the
Yes,
wall.
yes, I do.
So I said obviously you see in my post a lot. I always put the hammer and I keep
Yeah.
hammering. That's actually it's not my slogan. I can't take credit for the slogan.
Mhm.
The guy Cameron Haynes that I follow big time, who actually I just love the guy. Like I just love his whole mindset, everything.
Mhm.
That's like his thing, and I've kind of like used it as kind of like a mantra. Like
Nice.
no matter what, man, just keep hammering.
Hey,
And
man.
I don't know, like 5 months ago, I just put an old fucking hammer on the wall, man.
Best way of doing it, man. That is the
And you
best
see that
way.
little sign behind my left shoulder, right?
Yes,
That says nobody cares, work harder. I see that before I leave my house every day.
that's good motivation every day, man.
Nobody cares, work harder. Like I got things when I wake up, I open my eyes, it says you're disciplined, you're positive, you're productive, you're worth it. So
That's best
it's
way.
full-time job, man.
It is.
But
Well, I got,
thanks
again,
so much.
oh, no
How's your
problem, dude.
draft going?
Draft is done. We were done a while ago. I did auto draft after the sixth.
Ah, sorry, man.
Yeah, it's all right. But you know what? It was more important to listen to you, man. It was more important to be there for you.
I
So,
appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate it. I like I've, I can't wait to watch the episode, honestly, and just to see like, okay, like where could I, like I'm very
yeah.
critical of myself too. Like this is my first at bat, you know what I mean? Like
And it was
hoping
a
I got,
great,
hoping I get a lot of at bats coming in the future, but like, like where can I be better? Where can I add something to? Where
yeah.
can I way? Where can I,
Well, we'll
So
definitely, when we
I'm really
sign off
looking
here,
forward to seeing how some of the feedback too, and seeing
yeah.
what you think. And dude, I can't thank you enough, man. I really do.
Uh,
It's awesome.
appreciate you coming on, man. It's a true story that what you're telling me. It's hard, and to hear that too as a friend for so many years, I never knew. So for me, it just took a huge step back too, because again, we went through a lot of shit back in the day. So as for me, it's just like, wow, I never knew. So that's why, it's good. People are going to learn a lot now. Especially dealing with things, and I always end my show with a happy note. I mean, just like you do.
Let's
But
do it.
and this is the way I always end my show. I always say, guys, thank you again, Kevin. Thanks for joining me. But at the end of the night, like tonight, I want to say good night to everybody. And the way I end my show is with nothing but love, peace, and happiness, guys. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.